little weird. And we are live. Hello, everyone.
Don't wake up that baby, Kristen.
Right.
What were we talking about that cracked her up so much?
I can't remember.
I think I was pretty gone.
Chances are high. Matthew's watching from Da Nang, Vietnam.
Oh shit!
Right? Start recording now.
Oh, what's the beer? What's the beer in Vietnam? I forget.
I don't know. What is the beer in Vietnam? Oh, right. How's the volume? Volume's looking good. Give me a test, John.
Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take it down just a little bit more just to make sure we don't blow anything up. All right. Because I only have one monitor tonight. All right. So we're just waiting for Solomon to get done with his business. Then we'll get started here.
It's a natural process. Oh, man.
Hey, Jeff Solomon. Hey, Jeff McKinney.
Jeff McKinney.
All right, so tonight we're drinking barrel-aged beers, discussing a $14,000 can of beer, and bath bombs for your wine. You're welcome, everyone. I even have a Russian Imperial Stout, John.
I do not have one of those this evening.
Jeff Solomon, by the way, we're live on YouTube.
Okay. You're like super echoey, Jeff. I don't know if John mentioned that to you.
Constantly for the first 15 minutes of our conversation while you were...
Is it like... are you sure your microphone's plugged in?
Let me, that's a possibility. Let me...
I say Solomon's going to say something right away.
Yeah. Hey, man, when you're an audiophile like me, you can't let that shit slide.
I know.
I only buy gold-plated compact discs. So,
Did they have those gold-plated compact discs way back in the day when you worked at the record store?
Back in the olden days, yeah, those were a thing. I think those were kind of a relic from like the early 1990s.
So does that sound a ton better?
That sounds way better.
You were right, Jeff Solomon.
Look at me. I'm like I was watching this interview with Paul Schmidt, who's like one of like the innovators in like designing skateboards in the mid 80s, like up until today. And he does a lot of like the high quality, his wood shop does a lot of the high quality all American maple skateboard decks that the pros use. But he was talking about how, he can just close his eyes and listen to two different skaters skating, and he can like tell the difference in terms of like the concave on their boards and like the angle of the tail and stuff like that.
Oh wow,
that's like me.
So he's in never mind.
I'm similar in that I could just close my eyes and I go, hey, maybe you should plug in your microphone. So I've got this delicious beer. I don't want to pour it right now because I know we're going to talk about it for a while. And I just don't want to stare at it. So maybe I'll while we're waiting, I'll drink some of this Kerperbrow Helles.
Oh, I haven't even opened mine today.
Well, you know what it's gonna taste like.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
that stout yesterday. Tasted exactly the same.
It was a little bit better.
Did you like the one where it was like 4 different Hallertau varieties of hops?
Dude, I haven't even opened like half of mine, to be honest. Who should we hear from to start things off this time?
Yeah.
No, not that. Oh, here we go.
Hi, YouTube. I see Matthew's in the chat. Let me see who else is here. Just Matthew. Hey, Matthew. You're in Vietnam. Good morning, Vietnam. Did you guys watch that movie? I was like really young when that came out. All I could tell you is it was a bunch of Robin Williams like yelling "Good morning, Vietnam."
Pretty much.
Whole movie.
All right. I think we're all set. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah, what story are we doing?
We're doing the 14,000 beer and the wine bath bombs.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess if we
If we get to them. Yeah.
if we get to them, I guess which one do we prioritize?
Bath bombs.
Bath bombs. Okay.
Bath bombs. Okay.
All right. Make sure we're recording. We are. All right. Here we. Yeah.
Hold up. I'm coughing. You can go. I hit the cough button. I'm good.
All right. Here we go.
Hi, this is Stump from CorkEnvy.com for the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
This week on episode 258 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing a $14,000 beer you don't even get to drink, bath bombs for your wine, and we're cracking open some barrel-aged beers. You've been warned. So crack open your beers, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking! Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Overwhelming majority of Patreons wanted us to do this episode. Everybody that votes for Mexican craft lager could just suck.
Is it kind of like the Hall of Fame ballot? After a while, they just drop off.
Yeah.
If we somehow got German lagers on there, I think that you could slip right through with a Corona, and it tastes exactly the same. Corona in a can, of course, not a bottle, obviously,
Of
for
course.
obvious reasons.
Oh my goodness. I know. Look, can you see this thing? I'm gonna look.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a bomb.
So cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 258, or your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast, focusing on oil and putting it in our face holes, because that's what we're going to do, which we hope translates to fun for your listening pleasure. Yeah, guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Yes.
By now, I'm
That's
sure
a 3-letter word. What?
Huh?
That's a 3-letter word.
Who? What is?
Yes, that one as well.
Listeners, by now I'm sure you've realized that this is just podcast gold, that you need to make sure you never miss another episode. So visit WeLikeDrinking.com/subscribe and make sure you never miss our voices in your ear holes ever again. All right, let's get to this. You've heard everybody talking. Let's find out who they are. We've got our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and former wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, that's me.
We have our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
This is my voice.
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. Now, as you may have already learned, we went to the Patreons for our monthly drinking episode, and this month they have chosen barrel-aged beers. So let's talk about what we're drinking, but we won't get to them quite yet. Let's start off with the big dog for this episode, John Ruyak.
You want me to say what I'm drinking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I'm not being serious here, but I am being serious now. So I've got two this evening. I've got this Estate Farmhouse Ale from Sierra Nevada. This is an interesting little story. And then going California this week, or this month for the episode, Firestone's Sukaba. It's their barrel-aged barley wine.
Nice.
Jeff Solomon, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to stay in California. I'm going to stay in Paso Robles because I, too, got a box from Firestone. I knew what John was drinking, so I got the anniversary 2019 vintage. They call this lovingly just number 23. And what they do is like all year long, like all those different barrel-aged beers that they make, they get a team of some of their favorite winemakers from around Paso Robles and just some of their friends, and they just start blending barrels to make this anniversary beer. So that's what I've got, all barrel-aged beers together in one 12-ounce bottle.
That sounds like fun. You guys are going back to Cali. I'm going to Illinois. As a matter of fact, I'm going to Normal, Illinois, in the Distill Brewery for the Das Vidanya, a bourbon barrel-aged Russian-style imperial stout. They also have a barrel-aged stout and a barrel-aged stout with vanilla. I just went with the straight up. Rocking 12.5% in this 16-ounce can. So night.
I saw that, and that's a really cute label. It looks like a little like what do they call those Russian
nesting dolls?
Russian nesting doll.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get into the beers and the discussion in a little bit.
Oh, hey, hold up. I got to say something because we always have these tasting episodes and I'm always just staring at what we're supposed to taste for like 40 minutes before I get a chance to drink it. So I may as well just drink another beer that tastes exactly like all the others from my Costco Brewers Advent Calendar. This is Kauperbräu Helles. It tastes like every fucking thing else. I have to say something too. Jeff Eccles the other day got so excited because he pulled a stout out of that thing. And I too pulled that stout out and I almost got excited. But then I was like, no, dude, don't you understand? Like, this is the closest you're ever going to get to feeling Stockholm syndrome, where it's like you're pulling these out. You're like, another German lager. They all taste the same. Oh, this alt beer. Oh, it tastes like all the other German lagers I was drinking. And then, ooh, it's a stout. It was a different color. It was not anything remarkable. So Costco Brewers Advent Calendar from Kalea. Do better.
Kalea.
Which was our wine, beer, or pop culture reference just 2 short weeks ago.
Speaking of Kalea, oh crap. Oh, this mother. All right, note that one.
By the way, Eccles did an amazing editing job the other day when I totally like flubbed over. I was like, I couldn't remember Ryan Hannigan's name in the moment. And believe me, I noticed it. I was waiting for that flub and it didn't happen. Thanks, man.
You got
So
it.
to all our YouTubers, and it'll go on the show this week. Ryan Hannigan, I forgot your name for like 4 seconds last week. I apologize.
4 seconds. It was like a full 10 minutes.
It's pretty great.
It was like, the one guy, you know, with the guy that likes the beer. You know.
Now, before we get to the beers we're drinking and the knowledge bombs, let's warm up the brain cells with a bit we like to call
Wine, beer, or pop culture reference. Most of you know the drill. If you don't, I'm going to give these guys a term and pop culture reference. So here we go, guys. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
This episode's term is Grüngeist. Like me to spell Grüngeist?
Yes, there's got to be an umlaut.
That's how you pronounce an U umlaut. It's to start with an E and then purse your lips into a whistle. Grüngeist. So that would be GR, U with an umlaut, NGEIST. Bonus points if you can give me the translation.
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm going first. Grüngeist. It's the word is Germanic in origin. And I believe it means, and I go back to this already, you know, like the English language is like a bastardized like Germanic with some Latin stuff thrown in there. So Grüngeist, so you know, there's a lot of times it's like you just think about it and you know it. Grüngeist actually means crusty yeast. And so the Grüngeist is actually like after you brew some beer, it's like the leftover like muck that's in the bottom of the fermentation barrel that you need to dig out. But you only call it the Grüngeist if you then repitch it into a brand new beer, because like a poltergeist, it's going to come back. Maybe Geist, that means ghost. So it's like, you know, that one time when I was in junior high and, you know, a girl and I started hanging out a little bit, and then I didn't have the heart to tell her I wasn't into her anymore. So I just like ghosted her. Like maybe it's like that. It's like when you ghost somebody in Germany. No, I'm saying it's leftover yeast that gets repitched to make a new beer. So it's a beer reference. Grüngeist.
Excellent guess at that, Solomon. Eccles, what do you think?
Well, if you know me, you know that my two favorite foods, one is buffalo wings and two is hamburgers. And, you know, if you're talking about just you want a burger, you need a burger fix, where do you go? Five Guys is the answer. And Grüngeist is kind of like Five Guys from 750 years ago when gruel was the hot food for everybody to get. And the big chain that was going through medieval Europe was Grüngeist. It was gruel guys, but it got chopped down to Grüngeist. So everybody went to Grüngeist to get their gruel fix. So it's a pop culture reference.
I could just imagine like little Jeff Eccles in medieval Europe with like a little like top hat going, "Please, sir, I'd like some more Grüngeist.
Kimiko to Grüngeist.
More? He wants more. Sorry.
Except back then, if it was like Five Guys Burgers and Fries, you had to haul up a bag of their potatoes that get lying on the floor in the lobby.
You walk through a Grüngeist parlor and you come out with like this film of oil all over your body.
Well, John Rick, I am positive that one of us got it right this week. So let us know who is the victor.
This week's victor with an extra half point is Solomon.
Yeah, I totally made that shit up.
Grüngeist is a new variety of German hop, which has notes of peach, passion fruit, lemon zest, and some floral notes. Grüngeist means green ghost in German.
Nice. See,
And the term-
green ghost, right? Like it kind of sounds like it, right?
Term one more time is
Grüngeist.
excellent job, guys. Excellent job. What were you gonna say, John?
Can I say one thing?
Walking with the Grüngeist. Sorry.
You got me jonesing for a Five Guys burger and fries. I haven't had one in years. I just want to
You're
get the
not-
bag of fries and have the grease soak through, and then the French fries fall out.
Yes.
You are not missing a thing, man.
They're actually pretty good hamburgers.
They're pretty good burgers. All right, so let's do this. Let's taste. Let's talk. What do you guys want to mix it up this week and taste it and then talk about it, or should we talk
Sure.
about it first?
Let's taste it, because it's been sitting in my glass for what, 15 minutes now?
Yeah. Been here for a while. John, yours. Look how. Okay, so. And John's done with his first one.
Yeah.
All right, so Solomon.
Yeah.
What do you get on the nose of yours? Yours is a stout as well, right?
So mine is it's a straight up blend. So
That's right.
it is 28% Sticky Monkey, which is a bourbon barrel aged quad. 28% Parabola, which is a bourbon barrel aged Russian Imperial Stout. 20% Bravo, which is an Imperial Brown Ale in bourbon barrels. 15% Bourbon Barrel Hell Dorado, which is a blonde barley wine aged in bourbon. 9% Velvet Merkin, which is a milk stout aged in bourbon barrels. And then 4% Tequila Barrel Hell Dorado. So it's their blonde barley wine aged in tequila barrels. This is barreled to the airled and blended to the ended. I think one of the guys that was in their blend, like they have the list of all the folks blending. The Kofis brothers came in to help blend. Some guy named Bobby Fox, who's just someone's friend, got to come in.
Nice.
The lead singer for the Mother Hips came in, and that's a bunch of folks working at wineries down in Paso Robles.
Wow.
So yeah, super dark. It's got that that tan to Swiss coffee head for me, and then on the nose. On the nose, this is just like really rich and toffee in flavor on the nose. There is like some coffee there as well. I ain't gonna lie, it's a little boozy too. Like you're definitely getting like a spicy bourbon kick on the nose. So it's a interesting one, and it's one of those things with, I think we all got some heavy hitters for these barrel aged beers where you really do want to enjoy them slowly, like a wine at a slightly higher temperature. Like I would not want any of these ice cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could just smell this for like a half an hour and be totally content, you know?
Yeah, I got mine out hours ago.
Yep. So did I. And I kept that. Yep, I did too. How about you, John?
So this, I'm starting with this farmhouse ale, and this is an estate farmhouse ale, and they grow the barley there in Chico on the grounds of Sierra Nevada. They grow their own hops, so it's a wet hop in their hop additions, and then it's a wild ale, so they harvested, or they threw some peaches in, and the natural yeast on the skin of the peaches did a wild yeast fermentation, and then they aged it in wine barrels. So, the nose is a little sharp, very fruity. It even when I poured it, there's a little bit of a head, but it's nice and clear. For a wild ale, that's nice. I don't know if they filtered it or not. Probably, I wouldn't think they would. But I don't see any yeast in the bottle. But you can smell the peaches in this. A little bit of caramel malts, and boy, it just, oh boy. Yeah, I've already tasted it, but man, the nose in this it's probably the power of suggestion. I don't really smell wine type of notes in it. So I'm trying to negate that. They didn't, and I'm a little upset by that. I could probably do some research and look it up, but let me taste it again after we do some tasting, and then maybe I can pull it out of my brain cells.
Yeah, that's always a bummer when they don't name the specific type of wine barrel. And I wonder sometimes, like, did wine even go into that barrel beforehand, or they just say, oh, we'll call it a wine barrel? I hope that's not the case.
Right.
But I wonder sometimes.
Yeah, one of the things as I was looking through the barrel aged beers, I can't believe how many have flavors added to them these days. There was a peanut butter cup one that had peanuts in it as well. There was tons of, what you expect, the chocolate and the coffees and whatnot, but there was a lot of fruit flavored ones and a lot of different beer styles. So I'm really interested to talk about this one and how it's evolved over the past 5 years. This Das Vidania, though, is straight up Russian Imperial Stout and bourbon. So, there's coffee notes, there's toffee notes, there's bourbon notes. It's boozy, Jeff, like you said. I may be getting a contact high just from smelling this thing. But I'm in the same boat, Jeff. Like, I am content just sniffing on this thing for a little while. There's so much depth to the aromas on this beer. It really, and I don't mean to say anything mean, John, but it's almost like you're smelling a wine, in that it's so complex and there's so much depth to the aromas, and there's so much different things that you're picking out as you smell and smell and smell and smell. So definitely a fun and enjoyable experience just sniffing on this thing before we even get to the palate.
Yeah, I agree. I generally just enjoy. I mean, apart from what we're on the show, and I tend to slam my Russian Imperial Stouts. When I'm drinking them at home, I don't do that. We're having fun here, so
that's right. All right, so
grease the tracks.
Jeff, do you want to get into yours a little bit there?
Yeah, let's dive in. And what I love about, and what I anticipate is, we might have to go through a couple of rounds where, like, you get these like first impression, like upfront flavors, and these are things that are going to change like during the course of this conversation. But first impressions right now. Boozy, spicy, like four roses high rye bourbon, mixed with like cocoa powder, like dark chocolate cocoa powder, like 80 cacao. It's like plummy and pruny, and raisiny. Wow, it's like kind of tart on the tail end. I wonder if we must on some level, and I, while we're going into this, I think I want to go back and read some of these specs. I'd imagine at least from some of these different beers, we might be dealing with like some lactobacillus and some Brettanomyces, because there is like this really interesting acid play. You're getting creamy notes, you're getting tart notes, you're getting like some barnyard notes, but this is just it's everything you would expect from like just a beautiful blended barrel aged ale. Like this is wow.
Nice.
Boozy at 11.2%. It's got a kick.
Yeah.
And almost with like this like lactic acid type of note, like it almost is reminiscent of like a White Russian, like honestly, just like that boozy and yet creamy kick at the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That might be some of that milk stout coming through.
Yeah.
All right, John.
So yeah, mine. So when I tasting it, the first reaction is, wow, am I drinking a lambic? Because that's a wild ale, right?
Mhm.
On the palate, it's fruity, it's pretty acidic, a lot of acidic reaction in my mouth. I mean, I'm salivating. So, but the overall taste impressions are the peach notes that I mentioned on the aroma, but also I love there's some decent caramel malts in this that it's nice, even though it's pretty acidic and I'm getting a lot of, salivation action from acidity in my mouth. I'm tasting those caramel malts to give the beer some body in juxtaposition to the acidity. And I was hoping that I was going to be able to maybe pick out maybe a type of wine barrels that this was aged in, but I really can't. I wonder, there's a little bit of creaminess going on here, almost kind of like creme brulee on the palate with this. So I'm wondering if there's also some lactobacillic action going on here. But I also, I'm just digging the Maillard notes in this. Those caramelization. And it's not burnt toast or anything that type of deal, but it's really just a really pleasant. I almost kind of want to say, but it's not. I hope this isn't an insult to the beer, because I think it's an excellent beer, and I was very excited to try this because I wanted it to be as good as it is, and it is, because Sierra Nevada is a big name, and sometimes those things kind of get stayed. We've talked about the Samuel Adams things, but this thing really kind of breaks the curve for them a little bit, but almost like the very, 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 very end, after all the chocolate's gone and you finished off a box of Milk Duds, right? It's been a half an hour since you had the last one. That's kind of like what it's like. So
What you're talking about?
Yeah, and yesterday when I was looking for this, and I was really looking for something that wasn't an ABV vom, because I wanted to get 2, and this was the lowest ABV one I could find. This is 6.3.
Oh, wow.
So this is a pretty sessionable. I mean, not that you'd want to session a $10 bottle of beer, but this is. I think I like that it's different. I thought you guys would go with darker beers, and I wanted to find something that wasn't. So, and I think we'll talk about it when we talk about the actual history and stuff of barrel aged beers. But I think that this style lends itself really well to using wine barrels, maybe sherry casks. But I don't drink a lot of sherry, so I really couldn't say.
Okay. That'd be an interesting one. All right. Das Vidania on this one. Wow. Motor oil. Thick. Man, it is a morning cup of Joe in my mouth right now. And this is what's shocking. This is 12.5%.
And not a hint.
And I'm not feeling the heat on this one. It's not that boozy. I will say the initial play, I do get this little spice hit from the I assume from the barrel, but then the coffee and chocolate just take over. Yeah, man. This is dangerous right here.
It's so neat too when you talk about the darker barrel-aged beers, where it's like you talk about the flavor profiles of it, and it just sounds so much like dessert, right? Like in the vein of like just a really like rich like chocolate mousse. But to a person, we could all sit there and go, this would be great with breakfast, like any breakfast food, especially like when there's like that sweet and tacky, like syrupy type of thing going on. Like, dude, I honestly want to like dunk some sausage in this. Like,
Own it.
oh, come on, man. Donut?
I tell you what,
Come on.
after letting this one sit in my belly for a little bit, here comes the heat. A little bit late to the party.
It's kicking. Put a little hair on your chest.
Straight to the bloodstream.
Things are getting warm. Vision's going. Yeah. Shows
So
about
you
a lot
wait.
more fun.
You could expect, like, if you ever get like stranded in the mountains, like a Saint Bernard will come up with a barrel of that for you, warm you right up.
Das Vidania? Yes. Yes. Nicely done. Distill a brewery out of Normal, Illinois. Not Norman, Oklahoma. Normal, Illinois. All right. Oh, good. I'm glad we tasted these first, and then we can let the conversation go and just see.
Oh yeah.
All right. John.
So this is tough because, and it's like lager beers. It's not a style per se in and of itself. It's a method of producing beers that are already finished, right? Or
Right.
a method of finishing beers that have already been fermented. It's not, you've gone through the process. This is a flavor enhancement. It's not a brewing method per se. So it's an aging technique, I guess, is the a more appropriate way to look at this, and a flavor enhancer. So my first experience with oak aged beers was at this dude Dwayne had the homebrew shop in Colorado Springs down by the strip club on 24. I mean,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Way back in the business park, and you show up to the homebrew shop, and the strip club parking lot's full at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning when you're going to brew on a Sunday, right? So, but Dwayne opened up a brewery in the back, and Dwayne had the reputation of going to every single freaking Super Bowl since 1970, and he had the tickets to prove it, and they were all framed inside the shop. But he barrel aged some beer in green oak barrels. This was, I would say this was 20 years ago, easily. And it was just freaking awful.
No toast, you're saying? When
no,
you say
green.
Oh,
and he gave me a couple. And they were all IPAs. And I don't believe, it's my firm belief that high IBU beers don't do well in oak. Just too much going on, right? It's you need the alcohol and the malt to play with the oak. But I just thought it was, Dwayne, it's great. What the hell was that? So that was, geez, at least 20 some odd years ago. But where it really started and where maybe he got this idea is the guys at Goose Island started using oak barrels in 1992. So this is where this all started, and they started producing their Bourbon County stouts and things of that nature way back in the early 90s. And the guys were in Chicago, fairly close to, Kentucky bourbon country. And, the supply of oak barrels for aging beers, I don't want to say it's limitless, but by Kentucky law, bourbon barrels can only be used once. And right now, as we speak, as we do this podcast, there's over 8.5 million barrels of bourbon currently aging in Kentucky right now. So that's quite a few. And I don't know exactly and oak barrels and bourbon barrels can be different sizes, but oak barrels come in all kinds of different sizes. But that's the genesis of it. I mean, way back in the, the 19th century, beer got delivered to pubs in wooden casks, but they weren't pre-purposed for bourbon. But that's what we're talking about now these days. These bourbon barrel aged, rum barrel aged, tequila barrel aged, wine barrel aged beers. Bourbon being easily 90% of the barrel aged beer market.
Well, and I don't mean to brag, but a few years back, I got a hold of a really tiny, like 1 gallon barrel, the kind that you use to do like barrel aged cocktails.
Right.
And to prep it, what I actually did was I just poured a bunch of cheap vodka in it. So I made like a vodka barrel, and I never even touched the vodka. But then after I drained it, when I did my improvised cooling device, Cascadian dark ale that was supposed to be applied to the Elder clone, but shit happened. I did throw a gallon into that barrel. And it was really kind of fun, just for like with a small ass barrel like that, just for 2 days in there. There was definitely a difference. And so this is something that I mean, no joke, for like $50 to $100, people could do little experiments at home. It's not going to be like of a high quality, but if you just wanted to see the difference in oak, so you could think about it when you're drinking other like well-made barrel aged beers, that might be a fun little try it at home experiment.
Well, and so we had that guest on the show a while back that you could age your own whiskeys with chips, different toasts of chips to meet your own taste profile. But smaller barrels are going to have a larger surface area per volume than larger ones. So when you have smaller barrels, usually the contact time is anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Within larger barrels, it's anywhere from 2 to 6 months, depending on the volume of the beer and the surface area in contact with the staves. And, also depending on, what you want your finished product to be like. We've talked about this on the show before. I kind of like Boulevard's Imperial Stout, and I can't recall the name of it right now, but the large bottles are 60% straight up Russian Imperial Stout and 40% barrel aged mix. And I like that. But I think, the evolution of that, and you talked about this just a minute ago, Eccles, where you're seeing a lot of other flavors added to the beers. And I think what breweries have come to find out is while it's kind of novel to throw beer in with bourbon barrels and it adds some nice notes, it can be kind of overwhelming to some degree.
Yeah, it can.
I didn't buy the beer to drink bourbon. I bought the beer to drink beer, right? Mm-hmm. If I wanted a bourbon, I could pour a shot of bourbon, right? So I think they're doing it to, add that extra flavor. And with bourbon barrels, it tends to a lot to be the taste of the bourbon itself
Mhm.
and the vanilla notes and some of the caramelization from the wood as well.
And isn't that kind of why it's typically been your porters, your stouts, and these type of beers that you see it in? Because like throwing it in an ale or something else, it seems weird to me, weird in quotes to me, because I don't know, it seems like a stout lends itself to that flavor more.
It's already complex, so throwing in another 2 or 3 flavor components doesn't overwhelm the beer.
Mhm.
It enhances it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
now,
if you took like a Kaupenbrau Helles and tried to barrel age that, you're gonna taste the barrel, and that's about it.
yes, probably. Yeah, and that's why, I think certain styles like this farmhouse ale that I'm having in wine barrels is much more, makes a lot more sense, right? I was doing some research in this, and the Founders, and I was looking at the whole Founders line and all their barrel aged products, and they were lucky enough to find some maple syrup that was stored in a bourbon barrel. So they emptied all that maple syrup out and put some beer in that. But the brewer made the note, if you take a beer and you put it in the right barrel, you're going to end up with some very interesting flavors. Well, a huge spider in your bathroom is pretty interesting too. You're pretty interested in that, right? Doesn't mean it's good.
You know what? I think sometimes it is, and like there is this play. There's this thing that I love about beer that I've been saying since we started this show, coming from a wine guy perspective. Like, I appreciate the just straight up chutzpah that a lot of brewers have, where it's like, we might not even know what this is going to taste like, but let's do it, because at the end of the day, it's just fucking beer. And it's like trying different things and just having fun with it. You can get super high end and curate an expert team of blenders, like you could do stuff like that, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's beer. And what have we got to lose? It's like the old Mitch Hedberg joke about some people were upset that they started making glow-in-the-dark Cheese Whiz, but it's not like that product had any integrity to begin with.
Right.
And so, and not to be disparaging, but it's like, it's beer. Let's take a chance. Let's have some fun, And I think that you are going to have a lot of those with barrel aging. You're going to have a lot of those challenge beers. Dude, did you try this one? It was aged in double ultra charred oak that was bourbon, and then it was port, and then it was a stout, and then we threw a Pilsner in. Like, I can see that, but at the end of the day, what ends up selling more than those challenge beers are beers that challenge your senses. You know what I'm saying? You know what I love? And I haven't seen it in a long time, but Stone's Crime and Punishment series, where it's like barrel-aged stouts with chilies. And that is kind of like, it's an odd thing, but it just works, and you don't know unless you try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prairie, or what that Prairie?
Oh yeah, Prairie
They put-
Artisan Ales.
Prairie
right?
Artisan Ales. They put chilies in their bourbon barrel aged stuff. So I had one on the show about a year ago.
Yeah. The place out of Oklahoma with the fun labels.
Yes.
Mhm.
So John, I guess to kind of wrap this up, if somebody hasn't tried a lot of barrel, and this is to everybody, if somebody hasn't tried many barrel aged beers, what is your recommendation to them on what to go for or look for, or how do they go about picking one out when they're looking at all those bombers in their local beer shop?
You know, the cool thing about barrel-aged beers is you pick one up and you turn it around or you look at it, they're going to give you a pretty detailed description of what the flavors are that you can expect in there. I don't know. Is it a guide? Is it pride? Is it done for the service to the customer because they don't know what to expect, or because they're charging you $10 for this bottle? They better put that information on there, right? Because if you want to make an informed decision. So I think there's really, honestly, with barrel-aged stuff, there isn't a lot of guesswork, with some notable exceptions. I would say 1050 barrel-aged doesn't give you a whole lot of information on the can, and some others don't. I don't even think North Coast Old Rasputin version 25 gives you a whole lot of information about it. I mean, this is it. It's $25 a bottle. Screw you if you don't like it. It's good whether you like it or not. And it is. But yeah, usually you're getting a fair amount of information about what you're purchasing when you go to do it. So
that was going to be the same thing I said. Like, unlike a lot of wine, I'll be honest, on wine label, reading wine labels is pointless most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of beer labels, it's the same thing. But with barrel-aged beers, they are very specific and they're very on point with what you're getting. It's going to, I saw one today that was barrel-aged in brandy barrels with cherries. Like, what you're going to get. And it was a stout, so what the type of beer tastes like. And then they're just layering, like a layered drink. They're layering these flavors on top of that beer. So if you take the time to read the package, you'll get a very good idea of what you're going to get, and you should know whether you like it or not. So take a chance.
Okay.
Barrel-aged stuff.
I would say this other thing.
Yes.
Sorry, Solomon, you had something to add?
No, please. I want to hear from you. So I can demolish you. So I can own you, bro.
So we talked. Was the woman who did the education stuff from Texas, and she was never been into beer. We said you need to try Russian Imperial Stout because it is the most complex.
Professor
Jane Nichols,
right?
Yes.
And we said you need to try Russian Imperial Stout because that is obviously what we thought, and most people would say, is the most complex aroma and tasting profiles in beer. Barrel aging adds a couple of other flavor components to that. But I'll say this, if you're not really into beer and your objection to beer, especially craft beer, is the fact that a lot of it's really too hoppy for you, that generally doesn't come through in barrel aged beers. The brewer doesn't want you to taste too many hops. They want you to taste everything else that's going on that. So they tend to be less hop. I will contend that might say 84 IBUs, but you're not tasting them.
Not a single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Let me give our listeners some actionable advice that they could use to enjoy some barrel-aged beers tonight and get a well-rounded education in them tonight. Here's what you do. You and 3 other friends say, tonight, we're going to drink some barrel-aged beers. Here's the rule. Everybody go to the ATM, pull out a $20. You go to a finer establishment and you say, I have $20. I would like to buy a barrel-aged beer that is no less than $10. And you're going to walk out with a bottle that's anywhere from 12 to 16 ounces.
Or 22.
Or 20, occasionally. And you and your 4 friends are going to get together with some little wine glasses, and you're just going to, like, take turns, like do like a little flight, like each trying some of each of those, and you're gonna walk away with a pretty awesome experience for $15 on average, with some good friends, talking about like, yeah, you know what? Those guys on the award-winning We Like Drinking podcast were right. These barrel-aged beers are goddamn delicious.
And
And
you'll
I
have a healthy buzz.
I will add one thing to that. Please take note of the ABV on whatever you pick up, because you may buy a 16-ounce beer and think that's no problem because you're used to 5.5 to 7% ABV. And then you realize that the oil in your glass is 12.5. You're halfway through and you're like, thank God I'm not driving anywhere tonight.
Mhm. And like we were saying last week, that's why Uber was invented.
Yes. All right. Great.
I just want to say I opened up this Sukaba, and this is a barley wine in bourbon barrels, and so this one
Lord, what's the ABV on that?
11.5.
Okay.
I've had that before. It's delicious. Not
Yep.
that vintage, probably, but
2019, but yeah, bourbon notes, vanilla, some cherry, which is really cool, and just the taste is oh so smooth. That's this is, remember when I opened up that bottle of the thing that aged, the Thomas Hardy ale,
plum pudding.
This is what I hoped that bottle would taste like. This tastes like that.
That's awesome.
This is, and I've had, and that when you have a bottle, a good, a properly stored bottle of Thomas Hardy, it tastes a lot like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I have no idea how long we're running, so forget it. Give me a second. My sound application is giving me fits tonight. Yay, editing.
Hooray, beer.
Okay. So we're just going to do this however we want to, and we're going to get into the hard hitting. Actually, there's no hard hitting tonight. We're getting into the dumb. No, we're just getting into the fun. Booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes some pretty silly things. All right. You guys want to go bubbles or fines?
Bubbles.
Okay. I love Target. Like, Target is my go-to for like the big box store place to go to. Target tries a lot of things. I'm down with a lot of what Target tries. I'm not so sure I can be down with this sickness. Target has released what they call raspberry wine fizzers. So these are essentially bath bombs with glitter in them that you drop into your drink.
Wait, what?
Yes, I'm not yet. So
and I can get those at Target today.
You can get those at Target today.
Let me give our listeners some actionable advice. You get yourself like one of the lighter, like clear barrel-aged beers, and you get yourself one of those, knowing nothing else. I didn't read this shit. Knowing nothing else. You get that glitter bomb, you throw that shit into your $13 barrel-aged beer, and you have yourself a good time.
So you could pick them up for 6 of them for $5.99. So for $1 each, you can get one of these bath bombs, wine bombs, and then I don't know if you're supposed to drop it into a glass. I mean, this seems like it would be way too much for a glass, but it has sugar in it. It has baking soda, essentially sodium bicarbonate, and edible stars made of cellulose. So
What's the nutritional panel on this thing look like?
who fucking cares? So now you may think I'm going to sit here and trash this product. And initially I was, but now I'm halfway through this Das Vidania, and all of a sudden it seems like a fantastic idea. So you pick up some of these, and sometimes you open up, because what we talk about on this show is exploration. Try something new. So you pick up, say, a Pinot Grigio for $4.99 at Trader Joe's, and you take a drink of it, and you're like, ugh, this is terrible. Fuck it. At that point, throw a bath bomb in it, and you got, it tastes like raspberry now. It's sweetened up. It bubbles, and it's got glitter stars in it. I mean, this is a win-win right now. Our good friend Valerie Caruso may have to go buy a new phone because she may have
Smashed it.
a hammer to her phone and imagine that she was crushing my skull for what I just uttered. But guys,
He's going, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know better. Wait, so it's raspberry flavored?
yes,
Like that's the part that I cannot abide by is like, why do we need to have flavor? Why can't I just have sparkles? Why can't
that
I
is
just
the
fucking
counter of it.
sparkle without adjuncts?
without sugar, like that's what it really needs is just baking soda and unicorn glitter. And we're set. It doesn't need the raspberry or the sugar. I don't want
Hey, honey, some unicorn sharded in my Ridge cab.
And now it tastes like raspberries.
and schnozberries.
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
We've officially gone off the rails, listeners. So just know what the rest of the episode is going to be like. So, John, what are your thoughts on the raspberry star fizz sugar glitter wine bomb?
My thoughts are that I need to know where I can send my resume so I can sit around in a room and get paid to come up with this bullshit.
Who are the ad wizards who came up with this one?
Some, we were talking. I was like, my wife comes home from work and she runs the bath water and she throws in a bath bomb. And like, I don't go slurp that up before she gets in it. But that's where this came from, right? Someone threw a bath bomb into the tub. She's like, holy fuck, we could put this in wine. Think about how great that would be.
At the same time, your wine can be in a bath bomb while you're in a bath bomb. That's just genius.
I just don't know why they gotta flavor it up. That would be such a cool, like, you know what I need to do is just go to like a high-end bakery supply shop and get the edible glitter so I don't have to like buy this shit.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember way back in the day they had those candies that you open them up and they had like a raspberry imprint on it and it looked like a tablet, but you put it in your mouth and you chewed it and it turned into gum.
Oh, yes, I do. What were those things called? Yeah, I do remember. I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I felt like you were starting to describe like the dip sticks, but
Oh,
but it's not that.
No.
No, it
By the
wasn't.
way, who the hell lets their
Razzmatazz?
kid?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, something like that.
Razzmatazz or something like that, right? This episode.
A little all over the map.
Who lets a kid buy pixie sticks? Like, what kind of garbage is that?
I so
You're,
wish our
you're like, I don't know why my son's acting so crazy right now. And every single jackass that's ever gotten a thing of pixie sticks thought it would be really cool to snort it one time.
Ouch.
Way to go. You're teaching your fourth grader how to do cocaine. Except it's worse because it's just sugar.
listeners,
Well, that's how Big Sugar gets you hooked, isn't it, Solomon? After
Well,
you
yeah,
snort it a
that-
couple times.
Yeah, that and vape juice.
if you've never checked out welikedrinking.com/show, this is the week to check it out. Jeff Solomon just had a wonderful emo head thing going on where his hair was draped over one eye.
What are you talking about?
Oh my god. You gotta wrap this show up. It's going downhill.
Hey, man. AFI is from Berkeley, man. I could get down with some emo core. I don't know. I just feel like there's a fire inside, bro.
There's so much going on in the chat. Matthew, I'm sorry. I can't. We can't wait, Matthew. That's all I say. We can't wait. Okay. Where are we at? What the fuck is going on?
What are you doing?
I don't think we need to talk about the other one. So, oh yeah.
Yes, we do.
Hold on for a second. I need a moment. Bump, 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 bump.
Let me pull this shit up. Okay, hold up. Sorry. My phone was on my fantasy football league that matters. So give me a second. Okay. So all right. So going back to week 15, the semifinals of the We Like Drinking Fantasy Football League. I will say, just off the bat, shame on you, John Ruyak. You are the least competent fantasy football player I've ever seen in my entire life. I swear there was a week or two where you were in first place this year.
Yeah.
And shame on the entire league for letting that happen. Your team is god awful. It's the worst. It wasn't even close. I had a horrible week, but you took the cake for just shitty decision making. It was just
You shouldn't start somebody who's been placed on IR.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, you know what?
multiple
looked at
people
I
placed
looked
on
at it
IR.
I looked at it on Friday. I'm like, you know what? I can't polish this turd.
You couldn't. Yeah, no, you could have actually.
Jeff Solomon.
You could have, but that's a different. Sorry. And
Why are you
congratulations.
complaining? You were able to wipe.
I was going to say,
beat the pulp out of me. What do you care?
you scored the second lowest number of points for the week in the entire league.
And,
Yeah.
and you're lecturing me.
Yeah.
And you worked. And you
fucking
worked
do better,
You worked,
that's what
it,
I'm
you
saying.
worked it. You worked at getting the second lowest points.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just want to say, screw you, John, and Jeremy from the Felton Cover Bridge. I'm going to see you in the consolation championships this year. Only one winner can take 7th place, and it's going to be me. Now going into the main championships, I do need to give Jeff Eccles some kudos because he did beat. What's that one guy's name? You know that one guy, Ryan Hannigan. You beat him. with a fair amount of points. He had a good showing. It was actually real close. But you know what wasn't close?
Oops.
Cody the Shark Snake, I believe he set not just the We Like Drinking league record. I think he set the all-time fantasy football record for all eternity for most points in 1 week. Let me tell the listeners, like every fantasy football league is different. I would say that if you score 150 points, there's a chance you'll probably win 60% of your games, right? I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If you score 170, 180, like you dominated, friggin' Cody the Shark Snake. I can't believe this. He started Lamar Jackson, who threw for 5 touchdowns and ran for another. He started Chris Godwin in spite of destroying his quad, and he'll be out for the rest of the year. That guy got 121 yards. He started Cooper week. Raheem Mostert of my San Francisco 49ers, who got a touchdown and a loss. Austin Hooper, who just had a bad week. Miles fucking Sanders, who he stole from me because it wasn't even close. Cody, congratulations. You stole all my players. I'm looking forward to you destroying Jeff Eccles this week because in some weird way, you beating him with all of my players means that I beat him and I will be the champion. So there we go. There we go.
I really feel like Jeff Solomon's eyes at this point are just slits. John Ruyak, his head's down. But yeah, honestly, for this league this year, this was all I was playing for. Was just make it to the chance to come in second place. I don't have a good lineup this week. It's not looking good. I'll give it my best, but damn,
you're giving up already.
No.
That's cute, man. You're gonna not try, and then afterwards, when you lose, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I didn't really think I was gonna win. I didn't really try my best." Because you're afraid. You're afraid to actually try hard and fail. But that is what breeds success.
Going all out for the win, but his team is stellar.
You're going all out for the win by starting Philip Lindsay and Greg Olson and Will Lutz. You're fucked, bro.
Way to pick all my bottom feeders, Solomon. Thanks for that.
Well, that's how I do it. I can't believe he's gonna start Raheem Mostert against you and he's gonna win. This is bullshit. I don't know. There's gonna be an asterisk next to whoever wins the championship here.
Good luck with 7th place, Jeff Solomon.
Because in order to be the best, you gotta beat the best, and none of you did that.
I beat you.
Oh, so you're saying I'm the best? Thank you. I'll take it.
I beat you, and I beat everybody in the championship series twice for everybody I've played, and now it's the Sharks next. As we go to
Last call.
Last call.
Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do, folks. We're looking for a little help from you. John Ruyak, if the folks want to follow us on the socials, where's the best place for them to do it?
Well, there's lots of places you can do it on the socials. You can follow us on Twitter. That's We Like Drinking 1. That's the numeral 1 on Instagram. And our private Facebook group known as The Tavern.
Sure, that works. Jeff Solomon, if the folks want to let us know what they think about the show, where can they go to leave us a review?
Hey, you driving in your car, pull over. Take a look at your phone now. Go ahead and swipe around. You're probably listening to us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a big fat 5-star review there. Give us your honest feedback as to how you just got some actionable advice that you can apply to your life today. Leave a fucking comment, you fucking freeloaders.
You know what? You know what's a good place to sign up for the podcast? If you don't know how to do it, meet me at the Scotch tasting desk at Total Wines in Albuquerque, and I'll show you on your phone how to do that.
No,
all
but
time,
seriously,
or
like
you-
I'm sick of. Look, no, we've got. We see the numbers, you assholes. We see them. You listen every single week, and you've never given us a rating or a review. What the fuck's your problem? Look at your phone for once in your godforsaken life. Take a look at your phone and press a fucking button that says 5 stars. Can you do that? Oh, I don't know. That's difficult. You can do it and write a sentence. Write a sentence for once in your godforsaken life. Do something with your life. You know what? Do better. Do better. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, please.
If you've done both those things and you're looking to do a wee bit more, consider become a Uber Patreon or Uber supporter by visiting Patreon. You can get there by visiting welikedrinking.com/pledge and find out for as little as $1 a month. You can help this show continue on for the foreseeable future. If you get yourself up to the $5 a month, you can help guide the episodes like this episode barrel-aged alcohol bombs, and you're getting this ending. Thanks, Patreons.
It's all your fault.
We need your help.
You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. All right. We may or may not have stripped all our shirts off at this point. Sweat the alcohol sweats that we have. You'll have to find out by visiting welikedrinking.com/show, or maybe you don't want to subject yourself to that. But we've reached the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
You know, folks, I know what you're thinking, and we've talked a lot about all these flavors, all these different things you can do to beer and wine. And I was just thinking about the epitome of a flavor profile might be one of these Target fucking wine fizzers dropped into, think about this, just visualize a raspberry wine fizzer bath bomb dropped into a tequila barrel aged beer made from smoked whale testicles.
Jeff Solomon.
Yeah. I don't know. Give me a song to sing. I don't know.
Melikaliki Maka is the thing to say on a bright
I don't know that
Hawaiian Christmas day. That's the island greeting that we send to you from the
Stop.
land where palm trees sway. Here we know that Christmas will be green and bright.
God, you
The
didn't
sun will start
music
shine by
was
day and all
total
the
train wreck.
stars at night. What?
Yeah. Solomon, I'll say anything by just to get you. Foo Fighters.
Oh, okay. I can do this. What have we done with innocence? It never made much sense. Stop the music. Now and then I'll try to run. Stop it in the end. What it did. What it did. What it did. Don't wanna be your monkey wrench. Bring the music. By the way, that was a great album, The Color and the Shape
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the Foo Fighters. No joke. Bring the music back.
And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
Where you'll never
drink
alone.
Das Vidania, bitch. Oh, Christ. I'm sorry, viewers. That was wow. All right, Matthew, April, that would be awesome, buddy. Oh, very cool. All right. Glad you could join us. Matthew, it was good talking to you. Everybody else, Ratinho.
Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party. We'll all dance the hora. Gather around the table. I'll give you a treat. A shining top to play with and latkes to win. Oh, Hanukkah, come light. Sorry. Just get all fired up, man. It's that time. It's that time, man. The night of the 22nd, I get cray in this house.
We'll be all going all Happy Gilmore on us.
And while we are singing, the candles are burning low. One for each night that they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Oh, Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party. We'll all dance the hora. Gather around the table. I'll give you a treat. A shiny top to play with and latkes to eat.
You know it's bad. You know
Yeah.
it's bad when Solomon is grabbing his German lager with gusto.
No, this is my microphone. Don't you
No.
understand? You can't sing without a handheld microphone.
You have a microphone in front of your
Yeah, but I can't like rock out with this thing.
Gotcha.
With the Blue Yeti. Come on, you can't
You might kill yourself.
disrespect the Yeti.
Break
Yeah.
your nose.
Oh shit.
All right. Well, that happened, YouTube viewer.
Have you heard the Too Short has a really good Hanukkah song?
Viewers, just if you're watching this in time, we will be recording our next episode once our hangovers are gone on Sunday the 22nd at our normal time. Peace out, listeners, viewers, whatever.
Peace.